Training your dog with food treats is an excellent idea. If someone told you otherwise, they are probably a bit incorrect. Get them to watch this video. Why is it a good idea? Why is it so popular and efficient? How can we use it to unlock the power of positive reinforcement dog training? And what about jackpots? What is that? Do they even work? It is Jose here from Train Me Please. Let's go. Training with food treats offers us an opportunity to teach our dogs using positive reinforcement. Most dogs will naturally enjoy receiving food treats. Eating is a necessary behavior for all dogs and one that naturally feels good. With many dogs, you don't need to teach them to enjoy getting food. You simply need to offer the right option. For the ones that we label as quote-unquote not food-driven, it probably means that they are either overwhelmed with the situation, they are not hungry at that moment, or we need to shape the food eating behavior a little bit. Training with treats offers many repetitions, which is great for shaping new behaviors. Food reinforcers can be offered in tiny pieces that are eaten quickly. This means that you can reinforce frequently, speeding up the training process. Teaching new behaviors using other reinforcers such as toys, praise, or access to wanted outcomes is fine. With food, however, we have an option that most dogs are innately motivated by, and we can get many approximations in a short amount of time. Training with food does not require deprivation. With that said, the dog needs to want the food for it to be an efficient reinforcer. In practice, this means that for most dogs out there, it is better to train them before they get their meals. Or you can even use the entire meal to teach them something. This might be super helpful, especially with smaller dogs. Some dogs get really anxious and irritable if they are hungry and will train better after eating something. You need to experiment with your own dog to see what works best. You also need to consider the value your dog attributes to different types of food treats. Perhaps at home, some dry kibble or even some vegetables are interesting enough to get great engagement. If you are outside with distractions, you might need some wet treats, cooked meat, or some cheese. Once again, this varies a lot from individual to individual. Another thing to point out here is that beginners tend to underestimate how many treats are required for training. When in doubt, have more than you think you will need and make them small. What about jackpots? This is a simplification, but a jackpot is a substantially bigger reward when compared to the usual ones. It is supposed to catch the learner by surprise and to be very pleasant. When I first learned about it, I was told that you use a jackpot when the learner makes a breakthrough. They reach an approximation or a step in the process that was hard, or they put some extra effort into it. This would make the learning go faster. This made sense to me at the time, but later on, when I read as much information as I could about the concept of jackpots, I got a bit of a different impression. Apparently, the science is not very clear. Long story short, it appears that jackpots, when used correctly, have more potential as a motivation option than necessarily as a teaching option. Many trainers that believe in and use jackpots tend to overuse them. Also, I am not sure if offering a few more treats than usual can be really considered a jackpot. If we use a clicker or marker word, I guess that scientifically speaking, offering many treats after a correct behavior would not qualify as a jackpot. But this is getting a bit too technical now, so if you are a beginner, maybe just don't worry about it. You probably don't need it. If you want to learn more about this topic, I'll leave a link to an article on jackpots in the description below. There are several concerns that people have about using food in dog training. I will cover the most popular ones in just a second, but first, could you please click the like button below so that this video reaches more people? Cute photo as a thanks. Some people get concerned with using food treats because it may make the dog beg for food. Well, in my experience, dogs will not beg for food in non-training contexts. They are highly contextual and can tell whether it is a training session or not. Some people worry about what happens when they don't have food. Training them with food will build a great relationship with them, and they will be more likely to do what you ask them to do. That's true for even when you don't have a food reinforcer nearby. With that said, in my experience, people become really good at setting up their environments so that they do not often end up in situations where they would like to have food treats nearby and they don't. Some people worry that the dog will only do what you ask when you have food. Well, food can be phased out and replaced by other reinforcers once a behavior is established. There's also nothing wrong with continuing to offer occasional food reinforcers for established behaviors. I like getting a stable paycheck at the end of the month for my efforts. Don't you? I also need to make it clear here that when you see a dog that has been trained with positive reinforcement and food reinforcers, you will most likely love it. Dogs trained this way look happier and more relaxed. So, training with food reinforcers gets my seal of approval. I want to thank everyone that has been supporting my work here on YouTube, either through super thanks or buy me a coffee. Link in the description below. Next, I think you will enjoy a video on the topic of operant conditioning, and you can find it right here. Obrigado, pessoal, e até a próxima. Tchau!